PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Steve Austin Show. I'm joined by my illustrious, wonderful, outstanding, loving wife, Kristen.
Loving, I like that one.
Yeah, threw that in there for the hell of it, with the hopes maybe later that some magic would happen. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. This is the family-friendly show. Kristen, the biggest thing with us is when I'm out on location, it's one thing because you're home with the dogs. But when we both leave, most of the time your mother takes care of the dogs. Yeah. But, you know, her hips are kind of getting real bad. And we only have 3 or 4 steps to get into the house, and those steps really bother us. And sometimes the dogs get so rambunctious that we worry about her. So she's someone that we really trust in regards to being in our home and taking care of our dogs. But also the fact that she's not moving around quite as well as she used to, we figured we better start working on Plan B and getting another dog sitter. And we decided, you know, our housekeeper that works for us has a young son. And how old is he?
He's 18.
He's 18. And you talk about a fine, upstanding young man. And he loves the dogs. And
he's starting college next year.
Just starting college next year. And so he's going to make a little bit of money, and we totally just, they're the most wonderful family in the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were giving him the entrance code to our gate. Now, bear in mind, folks, we live in a regular neighborhood, but we have a sliding security gate to drive into our driveway, and then we had a security code pad to open the gate to walk in if you use the sidewalk. And there is a pound sign involved in the code. Obviously, I'm not going to give the numbers out here, but Kristen, tell the people the story about giving Pedro the code, because times have changed. Back in the day, a pound sign was a pound sign, but that's not the case anymore. Take over the story.
Well, so I gave him the gate code, and for some reason he couldn't get in. So I walk outside. I said, Pedro, what's going on? Well, I'm looking for the pound sign. He said, is it the hashtag? I said, no, that the pound sign. Hashtag. The pound sign is a new name. It's now considered a hashtag. So if anybody needs to speak with a young person, forget using the pound sign. There's no such thing anymore.
It's a hashtag. Yeah.
I said, yeah, hashtag 22222. That'll get you in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Back in the day, 40 was the new 30, 50 was the new 30 or whatever. You know, when they talk about these new ages, is try to make things cool and hip. Now, hashtag is the new pound sign.
Yeah.
When I describe someone to get into my gate that I trust, I say it's pound, no, the number. So, anyway, the hashtag thing works. But anyway, so we got the dogs taken care of.
Yeah, he's
Are you at peace now? We have security cameras through the house, so you can log on to your phone, and Pedro's always sending pictures of the dogs, and they're doing great. You're going to leave in a couple of days, but have you been able to enjoy Georgia and at least be at peace with the fact that you have someone that's cool with the dogs and you know that everything's in a good way?
Yeah, everything's going well. I miss the dogs. I miss petting them all day. And, I mean, you know, the dogs are our lives. So, yeah, but I feel pretty confident with him, and otherwise I wouldn't be here. So I was going to leave on Tuesday just because, you know, instead of Wednesday, but now I'm feeling pretty confident, so.
Well, we had a real auspicious beginning to your journey here in Lake Hartwell.
Yeah.
Now, you had a safe flight. You landed. Everything was copacetic.
It was just a long day of travel because by the time I got over here, it was like, 10:30?
Well, you lose 3 hours when you come from the West Coast over here to, you know, theoretically on the Eastern time zone here in the ATL area. So you lost 3 hours, and it's a flight. The flight to Georgia is longer than it is to Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's
easier
like
to
get to
4
Mexico, and plus you don't lose any hours. So anyway, you get here, it's late, and you got in, and you were starving. So me being, I think I'm probably in the running for husband of the year for my 3rd year in a row.
He had boiling water going for me.
Yeah, I knew she was going to eat her pasta and make her spaghetti sauce, and so I had the water almost to a boil as soon as she walked in the door. And so anyway, she made some spaghetti. Hey, let me ask you something before we get to the spaghetti and what happened on the almost 911 call. You know, it's funny because I've been over here for about 10, 11, 12 days before you got here. And it's always funny when you see your loved one for the first time. It's like you're glad to see them.
There's an adjustment period.
But there's that adjustment period.
Yeah.
Because you've been in solo mode, and I've been in solo mode. And while we were happy to see each other, it took us, a half, 3/4 of a day to get into a rhythm.
Yeah. Well, new surroundings and.
Well, you're new surroundings, but it's just weird to be around somebody because either I'm on set all day doing my thing, or when I'm here, I'm just going over my notes, doing a podcast, or
well, you're in work
gym.
mode.
Yeah, I'm in work mode. So.
And when I come visit you, I'm always in vacation mode.
but don't you agree with me? It takes a while for us to get back on the same page.
Yeah, we were like running parallel lives that night for some reason.
Yeah, but just to start, just kind of intermingle everything because it's almost like you're not a stranger, but there's that adjustment period.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, Kristen pours about a half glass of wine, and she makes a wonderful thing of spaghetti, and I've already eaten, and I'm looking forward to taking her out down the hill to the backyard. Over to the dock, the floating dock.
Because we are on Lake Hartwell.
Because I'm on Lake Hartwell. Yeah. I'm in a beautiful house on the lake, and it's a wonderful lake, as I've told you a million times. So I want to show her the sights out there.
And I'm trying to decompress.
She's trying to decompress,
You're trying to
relax. Of course, I want to give her the guided tour, and it's about 11 p.m. about this time.
Yeah.
Because by the time she landed and took the 100-mile drive out here through rush hour traffic in Atlanta, it's already a late night. Showing her Lake Hartwell in pitch darkness wasn't the greatest idea I've ever had, but guys are dumb. So anyway, there we go, down the boardwalk, across the thing to the floating dock, and we're
down a hill. That's
down
a
hill,
yeah.
And the one side's about 8 feet wide, and there's a
the dock,
yeah, the dock slip is for one boat, and they got a little party boat out there with the square hull, and on the other side is the jet ski they have covered up. Now I don't have access to these. So they're just sitting there, and we're just kind of looking. What can you see? 50 feet because it's complete dark.
You can't see anything.
Yeah, I was just.
I knew there was a boat out there, and I'm walking on something that looks like wood, and it's a dock.
I'm just trying to basically convey the peaceful serenity that's Lake Hartwell, and it's like, hey, maybe we should, at some point, on our yearly vacations, rent a house out here for about 30 days and enjoy this place.
Yeah, you were ready to buy property out here.
Yeah. It turned into we just need a rental.
So you're going to love it out here. Just come look at the lake. You're going to love everything. I think I've looked at real estate. I already spoken to a real estate person, and then.
So anyway, we round the corner to go around to the right side, and there's a short strip. It's it's the same floating dock, but this side is only about 3 feet wide. So you got to go straight, and you've got to make a right-hand turn to go down the other side of the boat slip. Well, I go straight. Now, I've been out here, perusing around. A lot of times at night, I'm out there drinking a beer or a glass of wine out on that boat dock, so I know it. But I can also see better than her at dark because she
can't see.
Yeah, she can't see very much at dark. She wears glasses. So there I am. I go straight. I hang a right, and she's allegedly right behind me. And then all of a sudden, I hear a big splash of water and a loud thump. And it scares the hell out of me. So I turn around, and my wife is gone. She was right behind me, but now she's gone. So about the 3 times, now this is a family-friendly show, I yell, "Where the F are you? Where the F are you? Where the..." That's when the 3rd time, she comes bubbling right out of the water, screaming and hollering. Me being in the running for Husband of the Year, throw down my glass of IPA Sweetwater beer and start trying to fish my wife out of the water. And she's screaming and crying, and I don't know how bad she's hurt, and I got to be careful of what I'm grabbing because maybe you got a broke arm or something. And so we interlock hands, and I lift her gently out of the water. And they always say, what, Kristen?
Well, you catapulted me out of the water.
It scared the living, and this is my family-friendly show, but it scared the living out of me. So, and her too.
And I don't know if people can't really understand where I fell, but it was. I don't think a human being could actually fit through that spot that I fell through.
No, there was enough room, just like you did, just
like
to
ice
step
fishing.
right in that hole.
Yeah.
Because the boat that's in the dock, it's a square hull boat, and so there's just one area. And when she tried to cut the corner rather than following my direct path, stepped in the one spot that you can step into and go straight down, and she got lucky. I mean, she hit the back of her head on the pier.
Yeah, I got clocked in the back of the head.
Clocked in the back of the head, and then she skinned the front of her shin on a metal guiding plate out there. But if you look at how she fell, I mean, she was extremely lucky. It could have ended up worse had she rotated forward. I mean, if you'd hit your chin.
There was a blade. The blade from the motor was right there.
No, the blade from the front of the boat,
yeah.
off the pontoon boat. It was a pontoon boat that's in the slip. So it scared the living daylights out of me, and my wife's crying. And here's the thing. To go back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
They say when you get into an emergency situation, you kind of have that strength where you can just, pull a door off a car or whatever. I'm a pretty strong individual. I'm not going to set any world records in the gym, but I grabbed my wife and just pulled her ass right out of the water. And first thing that she said, "Oh no," I said, "I can't believe it. I lost my iPhone." I said, "Well, we can get you another iPhone." And she said, "Go ahead. What'd you say?"
I started crying because all the dog pictures are on there.
All of the dog pictures. My wife has about 1,000 pictures of our dogs, Shona, Hershey, and Mueller, on her iPhone. They're the cutest pictures in the world.
Well, I was crying, too, because I was scared.
It scared her because when you step off in water in pitch black and
I didn't know if there was a piranhasaurus in there or what. It was a lake I've never seen. It was murky. It was dark. And it was scary.
Well, the lucky thing was that you came up in the exact hole that you fell in.
I know.
Because I didn't know where you had went. Had you fallen on the far side, had walking straight? I mean, I had no idea that you cut the corner and fell where you did. So all of a sudden, there you are. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, I just got claustrophobic being underwater because it was so dark. And I knew if I moved my body in any different direction, I would have come up and hit the dock. I wouldn't have been able to get up above the water. So I pushed myself hard as I could to get back up because I was, scared. And that's when you pulled me out. And so I need to say, I lost my glasses. I couldn't see a damn thing.
Yeah, lost your glasses.
Lost my iPhone. Yeah. And I was soaking wet.
Oh, yeah. And then one of her flip-flops was floating in the water. So I picked that one up, being a husband of the year. Carried her to the house.
So I had one flip-flop to go up this long ramp or hill.
So she's crying hysterically. You had on your sweats and a shirt.
Yeah.
And she's crying hysterically because it scared the hell out of her.
Well, then you saw the blood on the back of my head.
Well, I saw blood on the back of her head, and she had about a 1-inch, superficial laceration.
I was in hysterics. I couldn't stop crying because I was so upset, and I made myself more crazy just by crying so much.
So we put her in the shower and looked at the cut. It didn't need a stitch, so got her in the shower to clean up. We started, I found some Band-Aids in the owner's drawer and used their Band-Aids. I've replaced them since and patched her up, laid her on the floor, put a bag of ice behind her head where she had a pretty good little goose egg underneath that laceration where she hit the pier. But then, because she kept reliving the instance in her head, she kind of worked herself into hysterics. And I'm sitting there, I got my iPhone in hand. I got 911.
And we don't have a car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Chris, my PA, I told you guys about driving to and from work. Well, because my wife was coming in, and I'd already done all the grocery shopping, I said, Chris, go ahead and take the car because we ain't going nowhere. So if I wanted to take her to just an emergency gimmick clinic, I couldn't take her because I didn't have any wheels, and I didn't want to call Chris because he's in Livonia, which is 15 miles away. And the other side of that was calling on a 911 emergency strike into the scene with the sirens blazing on the ambulance. And I didn't want that to happen because I figured she would be okay. But due to the fact that she is working herself up into hysterics and would just like, how would you describe your crying?
I don't know. I just couldn't stop crying.
Yeah, you couldn't stop crying. It was almost uncontrollable. And that was kind of freaking me out. And I was thinking, man, I already had a real...
I cry at movies and things, but I just, for some reason, it was a different experience. This was the most I've ever seen you cry. It was like a life and death experience for me.
Well, it scared the hell out of you. It scared the shit out of me, too.
You can't really understand the depth of it, but it was just one of those things that scared me.
And, I'd had a real rough day at work. Like I said earlier, anything that can go wrong is going wrong out here. Again, it's a great show, but it had been a long day. I just wanted to see my wife, who I hadn't seen in a damn near 2 weeks, and just chill out and have a glass of wine and hit the sack and then wake up early and start going about our process.
Well, then meanwhile, I couldn't calm down either because, when people, they always say when you get a concussion, don't go to sleep. So then I didn't want to go to sleep.
So then I called my best friend, Jimmy Barros, down there in San Antonio, Texas, and he's my doctor. He's a guy that's been keeping me patched together for the past 15 years. So I said, hang on for a second, I'll call Jimmy and let you talk to him. And so I put my doctor on the phone with Kristen. He asked her a few questions. Jimmy's going through the protocol. Did you ever lose conscious? Because Kristen was worried about having a concussion.
Yeah.
But you didn't go unconscious because you shot right out of the water. And so anyway, she had that goose egg on the back of her head. And I said, you know what? I really think I ought to take you in for observation or we'll call 911. I said, look what happened to Liam Neeson's wife. And Kristen said, yeah, but she was on a ski slope skiing. I said, yeah, but she hit her head on the ground or a rock or something. I said, you hit your head on a damn pier. I said, you might need to get looked at. But after Jimmy talked to her, settled her down, and then said, whatever you do, you cannot have, and she'd only had, half a glass of wine?
Yeah.
So nobody was faced. I was on my first beer. This wasn't a case of any kind of alcohol. It was a case of her cutting the corner, and I fell in a hole. So you talk about, y'all know that I've been on my fitness program out here, and I usually have about one IPA and one glass of wine to go to sleep. Well, when your wife falls into a hole, hits her head, scrapes up her shin, almost drowns, loses her iPhone and her glasses and a pair of flip-flops, which I was able to recover, both flip-flops, that adds 4 more IPAs of your list of things to do before you go to sleep.
Yeah, and I couldn't have a drop of alcohol because you're not supposed to drink after you have a head injury.
So I was laying there. I was trying, as I was trying to go to sleep, I was just kind of surfing the internet, trying to come up with some questions I'm fixing to answer for you guys here on the show. My wife is trying to go to sleep, and she's got a hold of my left hand, and she keeps squeezing it, and then her legs are tensing up. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you talk about a vice grip.
It's funny now,
because
but
you're laying there
funny.
reliving that instant.
Yeah.
But anyway, it turns out everything was fine. Next day, her brother shows up with his daughter and his girlfriend, and
they live a couple hours away.
They live a couple hours away in South Carolina, and they came out to sit with us. And it was funny when they walked in. I had 2 rotisserie chickens. You guys been hearing my tales of having to cook all my meals and try to stick to this diet I eat. And I've been eating so much ground beef that I'm about ground beef out. And I ain't got time to grill a bunch of chicken breasts and stuff like that. So what's been kind of my saving grace is going over to Ingles, the badass grocery store they got. We're fixing to go to Ingles right now. This store is so damn big and good and has such quality stuff. It might be one of the best grocery stores I've ever been in. I can't believe
it's nicer than any store I've seen in L.A.
Yeah. I don't know why they got such a great grocery store here in Hartwell, Georgia, but to the employees of Ingles, y'all have a great place to work, and y'all got some badass groceries, and it is a very, very, very nice store.
It's clean. It's open. They have everything there. It's like if there was a museum for grocery stores, that should be the museum.
But anyway, so I go in there, and to kind of help me on my prep time, what I do is each day I go in there and buy 2 different rotisserie chickens. I peel all the skin off of it, and then I separate it from the bones, and I put it on my food scale, and I weigh out my portions. So by the time you mix the dark meat with the white meat, your fat grams, because if you eat that thigh and that drumstick, that's kind of high in fat. But when you mix that with the white meat that's in there, you're pretty much on okay on your fat scale in regards to your macros. So, Kristen's brother comes in.
They have a cooler full of food.
They got a cooler full of food. They got drinks. They got everything you could dream of. And I'm in there. I walked all the way down to the dock where they were telling the story of what happened the night before, said hello to everybody, and said, hey, man, I just got out of the gym. I'm going to go up here and eat. And so there I am, destructing my rotisserie chicken, weighing it, and getting ready to eat. They come back up. Kristen's brother just kind of standing there looking like a dog, looking at a dog biscuit with water coming out of his mouth. I know what he wants. He wants my other rotisserie chicken. Yeah. So, hell, it's guy code. When you come to someone's house, you got to bring your own food so you just don't just scavenge everything that the people you're going to visit have. And Kristen had told them, well, Steve's kind of here doing his work thing, and I'm just here for a day or so y'all bring whatever y'all want to eat. They did. But he was looking at that rotisserie chicken, so I said, well, hell, might as well offer it to the sumbitch because that's what you do when you're being, host.
When you have guests, yeah.
When you have guests. So I looked at him and said, hey, Chris, man, I'm there's another rotisserie chicken there if you want it, man. Oh, he goes, don't mind if I do. God dang, as soon as I said that, he ripped the plastic cover off that damn thing and started going to town on my rotisserie chicken, putting his digits all over it, and he ate about half of it. And so the thing that irritated me was that they never eat one of the sandwiches that they brought, ate half my rotisserie chicken, and then the fact when they left the next day, didn't take the other half with them. So I can't eat the rest of the rotisserie chicken that they done put his grubby digits on.
No, I know.
So hell, he done wasted half a chicken. I don't know how much I paid for that rotisserie chicken. I don't have the receipt right here handy.
I think it was $5.49.
Well, anyway, so that's $2.70 cents that we wasted.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, man, next time you go to a dude's house, bring your own food or bring your own rotisserie chicken, or if you put your digits all over his rotisserie chicken,
take the
rest of that damn thing with you so you don't waste a yard bird. He was eating my yard bird, and that was a lemon and pepper flavored. Most of the time I get the plain one. So anyway, Chris, I hope you enjoyed the damn food. Next time, bring a bologna sandwich. Jesus Christ.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
I don't know about y'all, but statistics really do a lot for me when I'm considering a problem or an argument, and this one really caught me. 52% of men over the age of 40 experience some form of erectile dysfunction in their life. That is over half. So, if that sounds like you, you're not in the minority, you're in the majority. And if you're experiencing ED, there is help. It's Roman. Roman is the digital health clinic for men. Roman offers genuine FDA-approved medication for as little as $4 per dose. At Roman, there's no waiting rooms, no hassle, just a straightforward and convenient digital experience, which means you can take care of it all from the comfort of your home. Getting started is simple. Just grab your laptop or mobile device and start your free online visit. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. And if medication is appropriate, Roman sends it right to your door with free 2-day shipping. And everything comes in a discreet package. There's no reason not to do this, guys. This isn't pro sports. You're not going to get held out of the Hall of Fame. And if anything, you're going to get put into the Hall of Fame, the Bedroom Hall of Fame. Forget the Silver Slugger Award. You're going to get the Solid Soldier Award. So stop messing around and go to Roman. Right now, Roman has a special offer for our listeners. Use this link to get 20% off your order. Just go to ro.co/Austin today. That's ro.co/Austin for 20% off.
All right, with all that hullabaloo out of the way, the emergency crisis, Kristen's brother eating my damn rotisserie chicken. The next day, the task at hand, the first thing in the morning was going to be to get her a brand new iPhone. Luckily, here in Hartwell, they have an AT&T store.
Yep.
I got on my computer, and it said it opened at 9 a.m. So that meant I wanted the car here at 8:30 a.m. They dropped it off, and we go straight to the AT&T store. And my wife was worried. She said, Steve, the iPhone 6 just came out. They might have a long line for people trying to get the iPhone.
Yeah, because I heard people were just like spending the night at stores waiting for the new iPhone 6.
And see, that's what I don't understand. They
Yeah.
did the same thing for the iPhone 4, the 5, and now the 6. I still got an iPhone 4, and the damn thing works just fine for me.
And I was bragging about the fact that I still had the iPhone 4 too.
Yeah, you still had your iPhone 4, but you were eligible for an upgrade.
Yeah.
And since you lost your iPhone 4 in the depths of Lake Hartwell, it made sense to upgrade.
Well, I had to.
Yeah, I had to. But you know how it is, because, man, how dependent are we on our smart devices, phones, Samsung Galaxies, iPhones, flip phones, whatever it is. When you lose your phone, you are screwed.
Yeah.
Are you not?
Yeah, I don't know what it's a very weird feeling because it's all your personal information. It's like a journal that people used to write in, but that's not a good analogy. But
No, but I mean, you got your email there. I got 3 different email accounts, personal and business.
Yeah.
And I got all my phone numbers, all my
Pictures.
text messages, got all my pictures. If I see a cool picture of something that I might think would make a good T-shirt idea for myself, I've got so many pictures of that I'll send to different artists to draw up. But the bottom line is, I've been hitting the head with so many steel chairs, I can't remember anybody's phone number. I remember your phone number,
Oh, yeah.
but basically I don't know anybody's phone
Right.
number unless I hit it on my iPhone. And I'm probably sure you're the same way with as many numbers that we've come up with over the years.
because we don't have to dial anymore.
No, you just push that name and it dials it for
Yeah.
you. So when you lose your phone, no matter what technology phone you got, you're screwed. So we had to at least get her back on base. So we had to at least get her back on base after the discombobulation and the panic and the emergency that happened before to get back that peace of mind of having your own information and ways to communicate with people back. So there we were, 9 a.m., first people in the store. And luckily they had an iPhone 6 available.
Yep.
And so this isn't a plug for the iPhone 6.
But I do love it.
Do you love it? What do
The
you like
camera
about it?
is so awesome. It takes the most beautiful pictures. I know you were trying to take a picture with your old iPhone, and it wasn't near the quality of what I was getting on my camera. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger one because they got two different sizes. I mean, they got one that's almost like a mini Mac. What do you call it? iPad. But you opt for the smaller one, which is damn near twice as big as the iPhone 4. But you dig it?
I love it.
It's not too hard to carry around.
No, it's. I'm so glad I upgraded. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason that everything happens the way it does. So.
Well, yeah, but you falling in the lake, hitting your head, skinning your shin, and me dropping a half an IPA beer and having to retard your ass out of there. That's not the reasons that you go through to get an iPhone 6.
I'm just looking on the bright side.
Hey, you know what? You could have just said, hey, Steve, I feel like go get an iPhone 6 tomorrow. Can we go? I would have said yes. Skip all the shenanigans with jumping in the lake.
Well, what you need to do is go jump in the lake and see if you can retrieve my reading glasses because I can't see a damn thing.
Well, see, that's the thing. Her brother, Christopher, happened to have his
swimming trunks.
His swimming trunks and his, what do you call it, goggles?
Goggles.
He had his goggles. He was going to swim down to the bottom of Lake Hartwell and get Kristen's iPhone and see if he could find her glasses. And also, I said, if it's still intact, when she fell in, she had a wine glass with her. So look for the wine glass, too, because I just bought those wine glasses at Ingles the other day. I bought two because I knew my wife was coming. One for her, one for me. With all these cabinets over here that have these little Post-it notes that say owners, I got two Post-it notes put on my wine glasses that said renter. Yeah, that's right. Everything here says owners, but my two wine glasses says renter.
Well, minus one now.
Well, we're
sharing a wine glass.
Yeah, we're sharing a wine glass. I just drink mine out of a regular damn glass, but we're going back to Ingles right
yes,
now.
We are.
Just for the experience and getting some rotisserie chickens. And we're going to buy a new wine glass. But the point that I was trying to make.
So my brother was looking for my glasses.
Oh, yeah. So, Jesus Christ. He gonna swim his ass down to the bottom of Lake Hartwell. Now, I just figured by the way the boat's sitting there, you know, you can't really judge the depth of the lake by looking at the surface. But me being new to the area, I assumed it might be 8-9 feet deep. And I don't like to go swimming anyway, much less below 6 feet because my ears start popping because I've had bad hearing and bad eardrums my entire life. So the fact that he can maybe go down there with his little goggles on and find the iPhone and at least her reading glasses, that would make for a real good find and brighten up our day because you're lucky you brought a spare pair of glasses.
I did bring a pair of spare glasses, thank goodness. Otherwise, I'd.
So he takes his silly ass down there. And I said, dude, and he ain't got no flippers on. He's just using his feet. And anybody that's ever swum anywhere and tries to go underwater, once you start getting down there, if you ain't got no flippers on, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
So I said, dude, you just going to swim down there? Because here's what I was going to do. I was going to go to Walmart. Well, listen, this is a true idea. I was going to go down to Walmart. I was going to buy it because I was going to be the hero of the day. I was going to buy me a pair of goggles, and there's a damn cinder block over there. I was going to tie a rope to the cinder block and drop that sumbitch off the pier and ride it down because that's going to be able to get my fat ass down there because as much blubber as I got, I float like a cork out there in that damn lake. It might take 3 or 4 cinder blocks to get my big ass down to Lake Hartwell. I got to make sure I got my military-grade Spyderco pocket knife in my pocket in case I couldn't get my hand untangled from the rope. And said, well, God dang, how did old Stone Cold die again? That dumb son of a bitch tied himself to a bunch of cinder blocks to go find his wife's eyeglasses at the bottom of Lake Hartwell. Boy, that'd be a glorious death, wouldn't it? I still might do that. But anyway, his country ass couldn't swim down far enough. He goes, man, I don't know how far it is down there, but I ain't reached the bottom yet. Well, hello, let me go get that cinder block, tie a rope to it, and pull yourself down, rocket scientist.
See, I don't think he trusted you too much after he ate your rotisserie chicken that you were going to actually.
Ah, damn! Next time I'm gonna put a habanero chili pepper all over my rotisserie chicken. Next time that summit comes by. Anyway, hey folks, enough shenanigans about all the stuff over here. My wife is alive and doing well. It was a scary moment. We got our brand new iPhone 6. I'm fixing to go to Ingles and get me a brand new rotisserie chicken. I'm going to get some combination locks for in case we get any guests that come over and think they're going to bust into one of my rotisserie chickens. That ain't going to happen. I got a 745 pickup. The sun's out. We're going to drive around Lake Hartwell, kick it for the rest of the day. My wife's going to go do her thing while I get into my emails and answer the questions that you folks have sent in. I'm talking to some people about coming out here to Lake Hartwell to talk to before I get out of here while I'm filming Redneck Island to give y'all a little bit of variety other than listen to all of my shenanigans and hijinks and answering your Q&As, which I love to do. But it's always good when you bring another dance partner to the podcast in the form of some of the wrestlers that I grew up watching and working with. But I'm proud to say that my wife has joined me here today. Kristen, once again, welcome to the Steve Austin Show, and welcome to Lake Hartwell, Georgia.
Thank you.
All right, I'm coming right back.
By the way,
what's that?
We're not moving here.
Yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with the lake now.
See, I already had the real estate lady send me a couple of damn pieces of property yesterday. A while ago, I told Kristen, I said, well, you know what? Let me call old what's-her-name up, and we can go look at that one over there that's a couple miles away. And she said, Steve. And you know when your wife says your name, you know, and that's it? And then she kind of just looks at you. She's not shaking her head yes or no. She just says Steve and kind of just looks at you dead in the eyes. And you might as well just concede the fact that, okay, it's not such a great idea. It's geographically out of our way because we spend most of our time between Texas and California.
Yeah.
Skipping over to Georgia just ain't nothing but a thing like a chicken wing on a shoestring because, you know, I think it's enough to maintain 2 properties. Trying to maintain 3 would be out of the question, especially the way my ADD brain works, and also due to the fact that I'm very frugal, as are you, and we could come out here and rent a place
Yes.
and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And before we come and enjoy it, I'm going to go out to the dock and install safety netting on every corner that you could possibly fall into on a boat slip.
That's right.
Because I love my wife dearly. And I'm coming right back with some words from our sponsors, the people that keep our show on the air for free. And that's all I got to say about that. Q&A coming up next with Steve Austin, your main man from Amsterdam in Hartwell, Georgia.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, everybody, coming back here after taking a little commercial break. My wife was creeping across the floor in her little flip-flops making noise, and I had to push the stop button and restart because the flip-flops were slapping the bottom of her shoes and making a noise that I can't have on a podcast. Y'all are used to barking dogs, sirens, helicopters flying all over the place. But out here in the peaceful confines of Hartwell, Georgia, the flip-flops as she was walking across the room were almost unbearable. Kristen, are you settled?
Yeah.
My wife says she's settled. I will continue to roll sound.
Well, how about when you just looked at my shoes and gave me just looked at my shoes, not my face?
It was kind of like the look she gave me a while ago. And so I just kind of looked at her as like, well, I looked at her shoes. Yeah, I didn't really look at her. I looked at her shoes. But anyway, all right, enough about that BS. Hey, you know what? I caught some heat last week when I was talking about the Loch Ness Monster, and I said the Loch Ness Monster was from England, when it turns out I've got to set the record straight. The Loch Ness Monster is allegedly from Scotland. Man, I had so many people send down some tweets from Scotland. They were madder than a hornet. It was their claim to fame that the Loch Ness Monster lives over there. So, and I said, England, Scotland, it's all the same. Well, it ain't the same. So I respectfully say to all of my listeners in Scotland and the UK and Ireland and all those places all over there, I finally come to recognize that the Loch Ness Monster is indeed from Scotland. And so then, before I answered your questions, I decided, well, I would go to Wikipedia and read a little bit about the Loch Ness Monster. And for those of you people that do not know or have never heard of said monster, here's just a short 2-paragraph read from Wikipedia. The Loch Ness Monster is a cryptid, a creature whose existence has been suggested but has not been discovered or documented by the scientific community. It is reputedly a large unknown animal that inhabits Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It is similar to other supposed lake monsters in Scotland and elsewhere, though its description varies from one account to the next. Popular interest and belief in animals' existence have varied since it was first brought to the world's attention in 1933. Evidence of its existence is anecdotal, with minimal and much disputed photographic material and sonar readings. The most common speculation among believers is that the creature represents a line of long-surviving plesiosaurs. The scientific community regards the Loch Ness Monster as a modern-day myth and explains sightings as including misidentifications of more mundane objects, outright hoaxes, and wishful thinking. Despite this, it remains one of the most famous examples of cryptozoology. The legendary monster has been affectionately referred to by the nickname Nessie since the 1940s. My wife says she doesn't necessarily believe everything she reads in Wikipedia anyway. Well, yeah, but I mean, it says the Loch Ness Monster is a cryptid creature whose existence has been suggested but has not been discovered or documented by the scientific community. I'm not a scientist, but I was on that dock several days ago when I talked to the Loch Ness Monster out here in Lake Hartwell, and his name was Ned. I don't know how he got here. I forgot to ask him that question. The conversation wasn't long enough. We got into a little bit of a interesting conversation, but they said that they don't have no evidence. Well, I'm giving you evidence. I saw firsthand Ned, who's related to Nessie, back in 1933. So, you know what? I wish I'd taken a picture of the Loch Ness Monster, Kristen, because well, here's what I'm thinking about. Okay, Ned, the Loch Ness Monster. I was talking to your drunk ass the other day when we was out there drinking beer. So check it out. My wife falls in the lake. Your lake, she goes underneath the surface of the water. Why didn't you come by and scoop her up on your back and save her? You had to wait 3, 4, 5 seconds for the surface, and I was scared to death. I had to pull her ass out of the water when you could have come by and been a hero of the day. I would have bought you about 16 cases of Sweetwater IPA, any kind of beer you wanted to drink, I would have bought you. All you had to do was come chip in, help her brother out, but you was nowhere to be seen. Ned, if you was over there watching while this whole incident went down and you did not contribute one little helping hand, I will search you out. I will find you, and you and I will meet in a steel cage right over the harbor here at Lake Hartwell, Georgia. Because we got a grudge match, mister. You done made this personal. At first, it was all about you and me hanging out, drinking beer, and just kind of getting to know each other a little bit. I thought maybe since I was going to be here another 3 weeks that we would strike up a friendship, maybe become buddies. Maybe I'd get on a jet ski and go riding around with you. Or maybe you could put me on your back since you're so big and strong and haul my fat ass around Lake Hartwell and show me some of the sights. Maybe we could have went bass fishing. You don't got to fish, but I could have had a rod and reel, and you could take me to all the best spots in Lake Hartwell. But no, that ain't going to happen, because now you done made it personal. If I ever see you again, the fact that you didn't jump in and help my wife, she could have drowned. She could have been hurt serious, more serious than she was. Oh, yeah, my wife just said you could redeem yourself by finding her glasses down there at the bottom of the lake. And if you find her iPhone, I know it's broke, but if you find her iPhone, you can bring that as well. And because I'm such a cheap sumbitch, if you find my wine glass that went into the drink with her, with the drink in it, bring that back as well. That's the only way that the Loch Ness Monster can redeem himself here at the house in Hartwell, Georgia. All right, now that I'm done cutting a promo on the Loch Ness Monster, I have proof. I have scientific proof. Chris and I saw the damn monster. So he is alive, he is well, and he exists. And he's from Scotland. His relatives are from Scotland. Hey, I said I was going to answer you guys some questions, so I'm going to answer you guys some questions. This first one's from a guy named Jen, Jen Wesley. And he wants to know, Steve, what is the difference between a country mile and a regular mile? Your answer would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, we love you and the audio whoop-ass you give us. Actually, that was sent from Jen and Derek. All right, Jen and Derek, what's the difference between a mile and a country mile? Well, let me break it to some scientific information first. A mile is a unit of length most commonly equivalent to 5,280 feet or 1,760 yards. The mile of 5,280 feet is also known as the statute mile or land mile to distinguish it from the nautical mile of approximately 6,076 feet. We ain't talking about nautical miles here. We're talking about a mile. We're talking about 5,280 feet. That's what a mile is. So if that's what a mile is, what is a country mile? A country mile is basically a slang way of saying a long-ass way. Hey, man, where does Steve live from here? Man, he lives a country mile down that road. That means he lives a long way. Or if there's a guy at a baseball game and he's at home plate and he knocks the living hell out of a baseball and it flies over the fence, and the announcer might say, he hit that ball a country mile. Basically, a country mile is just slang for a long-ass way and doesn't really refer to any specific length, like my unleashed version of a frog's hair, meaning a short unit of measurement. A country mile is slang for a long-ass way. Sorry I got so tangled up giving you that answer. Hell, I should have took another alpha brain. Let me get another question here there. All right, you guys always want to talk wrestling. I got a little wrestling question for you coming from old Freddie down there in Luxtron Electronics. He wants to know basically how you call stuff in the ring. He says, it seems like while there's a ring general who calls the match, someone who's in charge, but what exactly do you guys say in the ring? I've heard you mention a few times about the Big Boss Man where you joked and told him to duck a clothesline or something and threw him a potato. But do you keep talk brief? Do you only talk for high spots, and when you switch, who is on the offensive? Well, basically, not to give the whole shenanigan away, it's always a long story short with me. Anything I said was short, direct, and to the point, and it was the bare basics and the brass tacks of information. If it was a high spot, and let's just keep it a simple one tackle, drop down, hip toss, get it again. That's all I would say. The other work that would transpire after that would be called on the fly as you take a guy into the ropes and give some brief instructions there. Or if I was going to pick a guy up, drop him behind me and wanted him to hit me with a roll-up, as I was picking him up for the slam, I'd just say, go behind, hit me with a roll-up. Meaning he knows that when I drop him behind me, he's going to push me into the ropes and give me a roll-up. So that's a long story, very, very short about how that goes down. And in a related question, he says, what are some of the things a ref will tell you guys while you're in the ring? Hey, man, they could say many things. Like, so if you go to commercial break, that referee's going to come over and say, we're dark. You're dark. You're dark. That means you're not on the air. He'll say, you're dark. That's it. Or he'll come back and say, we're up. We're up. Or if it's time to go home, he will simply say, go home. If you have really exceeded your time limit, he will say, go home now. And obviously, if someone takes a hell of a bump, he will just go over there and say, you okay? Or he'll just kind of grab your hand, and if you give him the office, which is a squeeze, that means you're cool. So communication in the ring should be kept very short, very brief, very to the point. It's all about filling in the gaps. As little communication as possible is what I liked out there. My match of the week is going to come from the WWE Network here very briefly, and it's a match involving Harley Race and Ric Flair. And you watch these two masters at work, and you'll get a real good look at two guys who really knew how to work, and doesn't look like really a word was ever said by anybody. I'll get to that in a little bit. I appreciate the question, but going back to it, long story short, it is brass tacks, very basic information. All right, everybody, let's keep this thing moving. Got a question here from old Jake over in Lynchburg, Virginia. He said, hey, Steve, are you going to get DDP on the show while you're in Georgia? Man, I tell you what, I'd love to have old DDP out here, but, man, I'm in Hartwell. I'm about 100 miles outside of Atlanta, and DDP, every time I talk to him, he's in a different state, traveling all over the place. So if I can track him down, I will. I really wanted to try to get into Atlanta to talk to Jake the Snake Roberts or Scott Hall in person if he's still down in Georgia, but that remains to be seen. Again, I tell you what, ever since I've come up here filming Redneck Island, the days off that I'm supposed to have never turn out to be days off. I'm doing stuff every single day. They just tried to jack. I've got this Wednesday off. Tomorrow, what's the day, Kristen? Monday? Yeah, the day after this podcast drops, I've got a day off. And they tried to get me in to come in and do more interviews for Redneck Island, and I had to say, man, I can't do that because I've got some people that I'm scheduled to talk to on the podcast here. So hopefully that plays out and goes down like it's supposed to. Another question Jake sends in, he says, are you finally going to set up a sit-down with The Undertaker when you get down to Texas? Again, I haven't talked to The Undertaker since WrestleMania 30, And if that ever happens, I'll let you know ASAP. Again, that's why I'm talking about these people I'm trying to interview for the Thursday show. I can't drop any names because dropping names, if they don't happen, only gets me in trouble. And you guys are so inquisitive about when I'm going to get to these superstars. I want to be able to deliver who the people I say I'm going to deliver are. So anyway, with all due respect to The Undertaker, I hope to get to talk to him, and I hope he's doing well.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Do you own a home or condo? Or perhaps you rent a house or apartment? Sure you do. And Geico knows it can be hard work. Because whether you own or rent, you still have to fill it full of your stuff. Your furniture, the flat screen, and all the boxes of stuff that have been sitting there ever since you moved in, but haven't unpacked. It's hard to find the time, right? But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. That way, you'll rest easy knowing that your home and all your stuff is protected, like the furniture and that flat screen. Plus, getting a quote on homeowners and renters insurance is super easy through Geico. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. You know, like going through all those boxes of stuff. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Third question from Jake. Boy, you hit the trifecta here, partner. When you get your return match with Mr. Fly, it should be a no-holds-barred, and Superfly Snuka needs to be banned from the arena. Superfly Jimmy Snuka doesn't just need to be banned from the arena. He needs to be banned from the entire city, the state, and maybe even the United States of America, because the devastation that happened when he ran in the heat of the battle when I was wrestling Mr. Fly and hit me over the head with that coconut was devastating. And for me to do the J.O.B., do the honors, the favors, look up at the lights from Mr. Fly was an embarrassment to the record of Stone Cold Steve Austin, a 3-time Royal Rumble winner, a 6-time World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know how many times I held the Intercontinental title, but I had that one too. So the fact that Jimmy Snuka cost me that win against a Fly that weighed about 1.2 or 2.4 grams, and at the time I was probably weighing 260, is absolutely hysterically embarrassing. Anyway, I don't know if that match is going to happen again. I keep talking about doing that match. I'm still trying to, I don't even know if I can live up to the first match, but it's a work in progress. Let's move on down the road, get another question here. All right, got a little question here from Rodney. I'm glad he sent this one in because I got a new band for you guys. He said, hey, Steve, my wife and I are heading to the ATL Friday to see Garth Brooks in concert. Between that and the fall coming, I'm ready to settle into some country music. I'm not a big fan of a lot of what I hear on current radio, but I remember hearing you talk about listening to Easton Corbin, so I downloaded an album. Thank you. I love it. He reminds me so much of George Strait. Any other recommendations? I tell you what, Easton Corbin is one of my favorite guys out there right now, and I think he could probably get a little bit more of a break, but they're trying to cater these days country music to the people who are a little bit over the top. But as far as what Easton Corbin brings to the table, he brings good, badass, solid music, and he just stands up there and sings it. That's why I dig Easton Corbin. If you hadn't checked out any Jamie Johnson, he's been out there for a while now, and he's written a lot of songs for a lot of the top artists that have ever recorded, including the one and only George Strait. So if you ain't checked out any Jamie Johnson, check him out. And in regards to a new band that I just got in touch with out here in the Hartwell area, there is a band called 3 and 20. 3 and 20, and go check them out. They've got a couple of songs on YouTube. They've got an album out, and Google them. It's hard to Google because I don't know if it's 3 written out and 20 or whatever, but it's some badass country music, and there's one guy, the two guys that are lead singers are really good friends. One guy has a great country voice, so Butch, and then his other guy can go into kind of like a country rap mode. And so they're straight-up country with a little bit of soul mixed with a little bit of rap and everything else that has influenced them. So if you're asking for recommendations, go to 3 and 20. Check them out. Download their album. Email me back at questions@steveaustinshow.com, and let me know what you thought about them. Also, again, go to their website because they have a old country jukebox song. I forgot what the name of that song is. Anyway, that's my recommendation, 3 and 20. All right, got a little question here coming from Irvin, who's from Singapore, and he's listening over there in Perth, Australia. Perth, Australia is a place I wanted to go when we were filming The Condemned out in Australia in 2006, 7, whenever it was, and it's all the way across the country, and that's why I wanted to go over there and get a chance to see that place. But anyway, his question says, how was your relationship with Bob Holly like? I read his autobiography, and it's damn near one of the best tell-all wrestling books I've ever read. He's a straight talker and a hard worker like you, and please consider having him on the show. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Bob Holly because I'm reading his book right now, and I reached out and got a hold of Bob a few weeks ago before I came out here to Redneck Island. I'm in the middle of his book. It's a good book, and he will be on the show. In regards to what I think of him, like you said, he was a straight shooter. And anytime me and Bob went to the ring, it was a pretty snug affair. And I always enjoyed working with Bob. And when I do talk to him, we got a couple funny stories that we'll share with you on some of the double shots that we were working. So we actually traveled together a couple of brief runs. But again, Bob tells it like it is. He was a stand-up guy. And he was a tough guy, and not a whole lot of guys wanted to mess with Bob Holly because if he told you he was going to do something, he would do it. So that's my answer on Bob Holly, and I look forward to talk to him on the Steve Austin Show real quick, and I hear he's doing really well and he is really happy with his life right now. Irvin also goes on to say, hey, Steve, as a big fan of MMA, what's your opinion on Joe Rogan? That guy has really been anti-pro wrestling. And I think having him on your show would be amazing, as he also has a very successful podcast. And I think you guys could really shoot the breeze on many topics. I don't know what Joe Rogan said about pro wrestling. There's a YouTube link. I'm not going to watch it. You know, Joe Rogan, I met him at a UFC show backstage several years ago, just a hi-bye type thing. Joe Rogan is outstanding at calling MMA matches. He just has a love and a passion for the sport and a knowledge that just is incredible. And he sees things as they happen before they happen. It's like calling a chess match. And the fact that he's so wrapped up into it and passionate about it only adds to it. I mean, he's certainly not like Jim Ross, but he's Jim Ross-ish in the fact that he's very, very good at what he does. With respect to what he says about pro wrestling, I think you can kind of take what he says tongue-in-cheek. There ain't no two ways about it. You take Joe Rogan out, put him on the road for a couple of years, and go through the paces of what a pro wrestler does. Certainly, he would have a come-to-Jesus meaning with what the business is all about, but I think he has a high respect for the business myself, and if I ever have him on the show or if I am ever on his show, he might tell me flat out different that he does think it's a bunch of bull. But I think it's tongue-in-cheek, and it is what it is, and it's Joe Rogan being Joe Rogan. But he's damn good at what he does, and when I get damn near every single UFC pay-per-view event anyway, so it doesn't matter what he thinks about pro wrestling. His opinion is his opinion, and everything in life is subjective. Whether he likes it or not doesn't make me dislike him or MMA at all. It just makes me appreciate the fact that the guy has an opinion. That being said, let's move on down to the next question. All right, here we go. Got a question from Sean. Sean sent in a lot of questions back in the day, and I've read a lot of them. Not all of them made the air, but this one will. Steve, perhaps I'm showing my ignorance of the business, but it seems WWF, as of late, has been making some really boneheaded decisions this year. First, Taker loses to Brock. Now Seth interferes in what could have been a great match between Cena and Lesnar. I failed to see the logic behind this. Can you understand what's going on? So basically he's pissed off at the system, and he thinks that, maybe he's going to irritate the fans. Maybe the WWE is going to irritate the fans so much that they're just going to start walking off. Is he wrong? He says he's befuddled, perplexed, flabbergasted, and he feels bamboozled and hoodwinked. Well, let's go over this question. First, Taker loses to Brock. Now, I will admit, I was a big fan of the streak, and I never thought the streak should be broken. But that being said, moving to the future and the fact that they were going to make Brock the guy, you might as well have Brock take that win, overtake her, break the streak, help make Brock, and get him down the road, because he's the horse that you're going to be counting on to take you to the next promised land. So I can understand that. Now, Seth interfering in what could have been a great match between Cena and Lesnar, that was turning out to be a very, very good match. The only thing I would have done different in that match between Cena and Lesnar, and I think he's referring to Night of Champions, and I watched Night of Champions last night on my iPad on WWE Network, and that's not a plug, that's a straight-up shoot. In the match, I really liked the start of the match. I kept liking the fact that Brock kept going to the Kimura, or that armbar, whatever you call it, and he kept trying to go back to the suplexes. But what I was really looking for in that match was for Cena to mount finally a string of offense and really get the crowd off their ass and on their feet. You remember the fight where Brock fought Cain Velasquez, and Cain caught him with a shot, and Brock basically did a back roll, and he was on a back pedal to kind of recoup and get his wits about him, and Cain pounced on him. But see, that's what I was looking for Cena to finally unleash and mount a real offensive attack and get Brock on the back pedal, and then finally using the right and left hands and beating Brock down, put him in motion. That match needed more motion. Send Brock into the ropes, give him a backdrop, give him a clothesline, put him on the top turnbuckle, suplex him off the second or third, try to pin him several times, get Brock in harm's way. So that never happened. So the crowd could have got behind John Cena much more than they were. And the people in the building were into the match. I was in the match while I was watching it on my iPad. But Cena never got a chance to mount enough offense. And just not in the form of those clubbing right and left hands. I mean, bouncing him off the ropes. A beating is a beating. And Bret Hart could work methodical, but sometimes you've got to use those ropes to put the momentum into the matches, and I think that's what that match lacked. And then here comes Seth Rollins out of nowhere, seemingly to exercise the Money in the Bank clause, but did so with trepidation and not with the decision-making of, hey, here I am, I'm exercising the right now, and didn't proceed accordingly. So the match ended up, it wasn't one of those things that totally turned me off or totally bummed me out, but they were having a damn good match. It could have been a frog's hair better, and it would have been great to see how it unfolded had they been given another 10 to 12 minutes, what the finish would have been. But also, given that 10 or 12 minutes, needed to be some more movement and action. You can only pound a guy so much before, enough is enough. As effective as those knee strikes Brock was using were, and they were great stuff in the corner, still send John Cena into the ropes. Give him backdrops. Give him a little motion. Suplex him off the top. And I'm not talking about crazy high-risk maneuvers. I'm just talking about putting some exclamation points into a match that was filled with commas and periods. It's hard to sit here and describe this match if we're not watching it here together. And the thing that I liked about Night of the Champions the most was probably the Sheamus-Cesaro match, because they were working snug and not overly snug. Those guys have great chemistry together, but there was a sense of urgency in their pins. Almost anytime, there's sometimes you buy time creatively after a big bump, but there was always that sense of urgency of one man trying to pin the other, and that seemed to be a little bit lacking in the Cena-Lesnar match. A little more urgency when Lesnar couldn't pin Cena. And then, of course, again, Cena not being able to reciprocate and mount an offensive head of steam. Long-winded story. I become extremely passionate when I talk about these things, and if we were watching on a screen together, it would be easy for me to explain these things to you so you can see what I'm talking about. But going back to your question, bring Seth in. I know they're trying to take this into 3 matches, so Seth Rollins running in, causing the calamity that he did, warrants the 3rd match, and that's when we'll get the payoff. Hopefully that's where we see now Cena getting on an offensive streak, getting Brock in harm's way, Brock getting Cena in harm's way, which that's easy for him to do because he's so powerful. That's the story that's been told, but we need reciprocation on Cena's part. We also need Cena. There was a couple of moments in that match where Cena started and he gave him a couple of bumps, hit him with the clothesline, but, grab Brock's feet while he's on his back, and you either stomp his gut or you stomp him on his gimmicks. And that was a gimmick stomp that needed to be done because you stomp it in his gimmicks, turn him over, he goes belly down, STF, he crawls to the rope, same thing. John Cena has to go to that dark place that he's been saying he's been wanting to go and hasn't done so far in 2 matches. He's going to have to be the John Cena that Paul Heyman and I talked about on top of a house in Hollywood, California, and be the guy that the kids don't necessarily like, but to beat Brock Lesnar, be the person that he has to become to destroy the man who conquers anybody Paul Heyman puts in front of him. Anyway, an impassioned plea for a little bit more movement in that match, a little bit more passion for John Cena to go to that dark place, that well that he keeps saying he's going to go to, but has not yet. And in the motion of a match and the urgency, the sense of urgency to pin a man to become the World Heavyweight Champion. I appreciate your question. All right, before I get my match of the week, I'm going to wrap this segment up with one more question. Roman Reigns just went in for the surgery, as we saw last night on the WWE Network, where he did the interview from the hospital, the inguinal hernia, if I pronounce that right, I hope. It's good to see that he was taken care of and able to get to a hospital so that something more serious didn't happen. This is a pretty serious injury. It's going to take a while for him to come back from this. The question comes from Jonathan Turner. Now that Roman Reigns may be out for a few months, which superstars on the roster do you think have the best chance of rising to the occasion? Also, do you think Triple H should change his mind and bring Kurt Angle back? If he could, work a program with Lana and Rusev. Well, whether Triple H brings Kurt Angle back, I don't know. As far as I know, he's still under contract with TNA, but I don't know his contract status. So that's out of my hands. In regards to the superstar who has the best chance of rising to the occasion, I think this is the time, due to what I saw last night out of Cesaro, give Cesaro a bona fide push. I think I've been impressed with that guy's work for a long time. Sometimes he still overcompensates facially and tries to, his facials could be better. His work is very good. Him and Sheamus have great chemistry. I thought, in my opinion, that the Sheamus-Cesaro match was the match of the night, and I thought Cesaro was gaining momentum when he split off from Swagger and Zeb Coulter, and then they put him with Paul Lee. But I thought from a respect standpoint, fans were starting to gain interest in him without any much of a green light push, just out of respect, out of his strength and athletic ability and his work ability. He still is missing a thing here or there, but he's going to find that. And I don't know if that's shaving his head bald. I don't know if that kind of Jason Statham look is the best look for him. He continues to put the pieces together. But if there's anybody that's a bright spot on the roster, now more than ever, it's Cesaro, in my opinion. And with that being said, let's wrap this whole shenanigan up. I'm about to go out on the town for a couple hours. I was going to go to the gym and get my swell on, get ready for the Broken Skull Challenge. But since this is my wife's second to last day here in God's country, we figured we'd go out and do something. And now that it's actually Monday, if we were to go somewhere, we could get an alcoholic drink. But due to the fact that I don't go to work till 7:45 p.m., I can't start drinking yet because everybody on set knows the professionalism that Steve Austin brings. I show up with a Diet Red Bull and Alpha Brain ready to turn rednecks loose and do competition. And that's what I do out here. So what are we going to do, Kristen? We going to do anything? Oh, yeah, we're about to go. Here's the highest spot of our day. This is how exciting we are. We're going to go to Ingles. I'm going to get 2 rotisserie chickens, and my wife is basically going to use her iPhone 6 and take pictures of Ingles, one of the best grocery stores that we've ever been to. Whether we're in Los Angeles, Texas, we came all the way out here to BFE, Georgia, God's country, Hartwell, and they got the badass grocery store that we fix to go taking pictures of. Boy, what a romantic day at the office for us. But with that being said, let me get you guys to the match of the week so y'all can go on about your day. I love Harley Race, handsome Harley Race. And I wanted to bring you guys an old school match, and there was no better way to do it than by going to the WWE Network and getting on the search bar, and I just typed in Harley Race. And this particular match that shows up that I picked was Harley Race versus Ric Flair, 11/24/1983 Starrcade. And this is where Flair would go on to win his third World Heavyweight Championship, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, from 8-time world champion. I think he's 6-time at the time this match happens, but 8-time world champion, handsome Harley Race, in a cage with Gene Kiniski as a special enforcer referee. Now, from a technical standpoint, as in regards to refereeing, I think Gene Kiniski, with all due respect to his career as a professional wrestler, wasn't the greatest referee and sometimes was a little too forceful in enforcing the rules and letting these guys go at it. But nonetheless, this is a classic match for those of you that are total cruiserweight or high spot oriented fans. This match is not for you. But in regards to timing, workmanship, and not seeing calls, if you want to see two pros do professional wrestling, watch this match on the WWE Network. Ric Flair versus Harley Race, 11/24/1983 Starrcade. Now, this was a hell of a card because also on the card was Jay Youngblood and Ricky Steamboat teaming up against the Briscoe brothers, two of the greatest of all time, Jack and Jerry, in a tag team match. Also, this was the same card, and it's on the same particular video that I'm referring to, was the infamous dog collar match between Rowdy Roddy Piper and Greg the Hammer Valentine. But anyway, that is my match of the week, Flair versus Harley Race, for the greatest belt in the history of pro wrestling, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And that's the bottom line. And with that being said, folks, I want to say thanks for bearing with me through all the thick and thin over here, being in Hartwell, Georgia, and away from being able to talk to people and give you guys a little bit more variety, but it's coming down the road real quick. I appreciate you guys hitting the download button and supporting the show. Tell your friends about it. I got 2 shows. I'm still getting emails to questions@steveaustonshow.com. It's family friendly on Tuesday, which is a completely different show than the Steve Austin Show Unleashed on Thursday. That's where everything flies. It carries an explicit tag. If you subscribe to both of them on iTunes, you'll never miss an episode. It'll automatically download for you. So if you want to help a brother out, and that means me, and hit the subscribe button, I would sure appreciate it. As you guys know, here's the real deal part. It does take money to keep this show going and growing on the air for free. I have my WWE Network just kicked back on. So I want to say thanks for linking to my Amazon through my page. Every time you do your online shopping that way, Amazon kicks back a few ducats to the show to help cover production costs. And you can find all of my Amazon links, Amazon USA, Amazon UK, and Amazon Canada at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Keep Our Podcast Free banner at the top of the page. Hit the Steve Austin Show button. It ain't going to cost you nothing extra. There ain't no hidden fees or charges. And you ain't got to buy nothing special either. That's just go to PodcastOne.com, click on the Keep Our Podcast Free banner at the top of the page, and then hit the Steve Austin Show button. Bookmark it so you can find it in one click and save yourself the headaches and hassles. Folks, until next time, coming to you from Hartwell, Georgia, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. Available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.
What's up, everybody? It's All-Star and World Series champ Nick Swisher here, and I'm stoked to tell you about my new podcast, The Nick Swisher Show, right here on PodcastOne. If you know me, you know I've worn a lot of hats in my career, and each one of them has had highs, lows, and a whole lot of learning in between. And that's exactly what I'm bringing to this podcast. You're going to get crazy interviews with athletes from their struggles to their successes and all their unbelievable superstitions along the way. You're going to hear from hometown heroes that are stepping up to the plate and making positive change and influences in their communities. I mean, we've got scientists, coaches, comedians. I'm telling you, whether you're an athlete, a parent, a coach, or just looking for a little energy in your life, then Home Plate is right here. It's old school soul with new school vibes. It's the Nick Swisher Show, coming soon wherever you get your podcasts.